Visa reflection, especially as I just seen something last night, which I hope is not true, but I believe it might be, because it's something very typically the British government would do, and that is, do you know, the 5-year visa route? I don't want to go into the ins and outs of all that. If you followed me, you know what I mean by that. You should know what I mean by that. That's 5 years to get your married spouse into Britain before you can basically get rid of the visa system and just get indefinite leave to remain, ILR, and just get rid of them. And they leave you alone. You've got a permanent BRP card, pretty much, that you just renew the photograph every 10 years just because you age. But anyway, it's 5 years, and I've heard that they're moving it to 8 years. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak trying to claim extra votes by saying various things on immigration, so he's targeting legal immigration. And let's be clear here, this is legal immigration. This isn't illegal immigration where people are jumping on rubber dinghies at Calais and hoping to get across to Britain. This is legal immigration. This is people like me who paid a lot of money with Melissa to do everything by the book, filling in the forms, paying the money for the visas, paying the money for the NHS surcharge. It's a big financial commitment and a big tax on love. So now there's talk of that 5 years being moved to 8 years. So I don't even know what that would look like in reality. So let's think of that. So you just got married to someone in Thailand, and then you come to Britain and your 5 years, well, your 8 years, sorry, starts ticking. So what do? Just get a visa for a couple of years, then renew it for a couple of years, then renew it again for a couple of years, then renew it again until you've fully completed 8 years or something. That's mad. That's a lot of paperwork. That's a lot of visa extensions, and they're already expensive. They are not cheap. And I imagine, of course, you'll have to pay the NHS surcharge as well. That's nearly tripled in its cost per year to when I was first doing it. I think it was like 200 when I was doing it. 200 a year, then it went to 400 a year, then it went to 600 and something per year. So now you'd have to pay that for 8 years as opposed to 5. That's a big ask and a big pressure on that relationship, and I've got lots of different thoughts and feelings about that. Firstly, it's a commitment. You have to obviously really love that person, really love that person to commit to 8 years, because somebody like myself and Melissa, we're at the other end now where we've just applied for indefinite leave to remain. So we say to each other, would we do it again if it was 8 years? Would we? 8 years? Would we do it again? And it's not that we don't love one another. It's about working out where you'd want to lay your roots. And that's a biggie for the British government. Where do you want to lay your roots? So would you say to yourself, yeah, Britain is that place I want to live? Oh, yes, Britain is a place I want to live. Or would you actually say, do you know what? Could we make this work in the Philippines? Could we make this work somewhere else? Where actually it's easier. Obviously, with Britain, it keeps bringing it back to the one main reason why probably 90% of people are here, which is money. They can come here and they can earn the money. They can stash it in a bank. They can stash it on a mortgage, and they can pack off. But 8 years is a big ask. And a lot of people are still, after 8 years, a lot of people are still going to sell up and go to Australia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, because everybody I've spoken to all have a plan at some stage to spend that money that they've earned in Britain over in, retirement in Vietnam or Cambodia or something like that. I don't think I've met not really one person who said, oh no, we plan to retire here. I mean, even if you did decide to live in Britain, you take off to some cosy place in Wales or Cornwall or somewhere nice down south, which is fine. It's still, I don't know. That's up to everybody's individual circumstances. But I imagine the other reason why Rishi Sunak is suggesting this is because he wants votes. Because everyone hates immigration. You know, they see a foreigner in town and they don't know whether their spouse has paid thousands upon thousands doing legally, or the person's come over on a rubber dinghy from France. They don't know the difference. They just see it as immigration. You know, immigration's bad. You know, that's all they see it as, the average Joe reading the Daily Star and the Sun and the daily tabloids. But actually what they don't realise is the people who do it legally really go through the mill. They pay a lot of money. You know, they spend a lot of time gathering the evidence. They spend a lot of time filling in those forms. They put a lot of heart and soul and investment into that relationship and the bureaucracy involved. So 8 years, I think, is a bit of it's unfair, really, personally. But obviously, I'm biased in that. But yeah, I can see why Rishi Sunak's done it, because the reality is the average Joe will go, yeah, vote Conservative, even though they're not going to win the election. But still, vote Conservatives. You know, they're doing something about immigration. And don't forget as well, these are often people working in care homes, cleaning up your elderly mother's, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, are you doing that? Are you looking after your elderly mother and father? Or are they in a care home being looked after by somebody who was born on the other side of the world? Ask yourself that question. But I don't know. I imagine if they do roll it out, won't be rolled out until maybe next year or something like that, and we'll be well done by then. We'll have indefinite leave to remain done. We're waiting for the decision now, so that's water under the bridge for us. But I just think it's a tax on love. It's a lot more pressure on people. It's just sad. It's just a shame, because you get a lot of people who genuinely are in love and they want to have a nice, fun time together and enjoy that relationship, and they just spend a lot of the time just knee deep in bureaucracy, which just spoils it a bit. Which is, for us, we found that it was a bit of oh, that's not very nice, is it? You know, we've got to do all this bureaucracy, but now it's added pain because it's not 5 years, it'll be 8. So yeah, indefinite leave to remain, 8 years eligibility, not 5. Ouch. So imagine that must mean what? An extra visa extension, more couple of years extra paying the surcharge. And as well, what if you get married in Britain? So think about it, you'd have to get entry clearance, i.e. the fiancé visa, to come into Britain, and then apply to change it for the spouse visa, which would be the start of your 8 years, and then trudge through multiple extensions, filling in forms, paying the money. And once you got to 8 years, then you could do indefinite leave to remain. Ouch. Bit of a love tax. But yeah, not thumbs down for me, Rishi. But anyway, I won't be voting for you, mate. No chance. No chance. That's it.